Hey PJs, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a glitter slimes review. I purchased a total of 3 slimes. They are all 7 ounces. Everything came perfectly bubble wrapped, nothing cracked or leaked. And besides the slimes, I was also sent their business cards and some borax. And here are the slimes that I purchased. They all come in these clear screw top lid containers with their slime shop logo on the top and the slime name on the side. Starting with the first slime, this is Mermaid Cove. It is a clear-based perlite slime that is scented Fruit Loops, and it comes with a mermaid charm and fishbowl beads. To me, this slime does smell like Fruit Loops as described, but also Pledge, which is a lemon cleaner if you didn't know. Usually fruity scents like this, the lemon tends to come through a lot, but I was actually still impressed with the Fruit Loops scent because it's still very sweet and sugary like cereal, and I could smell obviously more than just lemon. The base is smooth. It felt almost jelly-like in texture, not exactly like a jelly slime per se, but like I'm not sure if maybe it was like the pigment or whatever's in here because it kind of had like a shiny finish to it. Whatever was in it, maybe it did that, but like it had a different feel to it. The bubble pops are loud and easy to make. They're also really satisfying, kind of just because of like how loud they are and stuff. I don't know. I always like the ones that are like really crispy and stuff, and this one does that. The perlite beads aren't like taking over the slime. It's not overly filled with them or anything, so I think it's a nice balance. I do appreciate when slimes are packed sometimes because then they get like really crunchy and stuff, but it's also nice to get the ones that are kind of more balanced. And of course, since it isn't super packed, it is easier on the hands, so that's nice for people that have sensitive hands. I love the purple contrast that the fishbowl beads give. I think it just kind of elevates the look of the slime a lot more. Like purple and blue just look so pretty together, and I like that it's not overly purple or anything. It's just kind of something you see as you stretch the slime. This slime does inflate and gets really bubbly with even more bubble pops, which I find again super satisfying. It does leave some residue, which is pretty typical for a texture like this one. They just kind of do that. And I would say the slime is pretty tacky even before inflation, which again is something that is pretty normal just depending on the texture and stuff, because slimes tend to be more tacky if they have some like add-ins or something that like the slime needs to keep in it. The only thing that I would say is that it is like the tiniest bit more tacky than I would say I can like tolerate. It's hard to explain without it sounding mean because it is normal, but like it's a bit much. When I do slime reviews, I try to keep it as non-biased as possible. Like I'm somebody that really cannot stand tackiness, but I also know that it is needed in slimes, especially like I said, ones that have add-ins that need to stay in and stuff like that. But I also know at some point there's like specific things that you can do to reduce tackiness while keeping stuff in the slimes. So it's kind of like a hard balance to like choose what I do with the point system and whatnot to keep it fair, but also have people understand that there's ways to perfect it or improve or things like that without again sounding rude about it. I'm just trying to offer my help or criticism or whatever I can do to help. So I'm going to give this one 4.9 out of 5 pajamas. Next up, this is Supernova. It is a clear putty slime that is scented Lavender Lemonade Fizz. This slime smells exactly as described, and what I really liked is that the lavender doesn't overpower. Usually like floral type of scents like that will really just kind of take over whatever scents you have, but I would say this is a perfect balance between the two. I could legitimately smell lemonade, which I really appreciated. The texture is dense and thick, but at least in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's like exactly putty-like. Maybe I was expecting like a bit more putty to it. I don't really know. I've had putty clears that I've reviewed before, and this one I would say is more on the normal type of clear, just like a thicker type. And obviously since it is pigmented, I've mentioned before that that can kind of make a texture feel putty, if that makes sense. But I would say it's closer to a normal clear slime, which is perfectly fine. I was just expecting more putty to it. I do love the little details in the slime, especially like the little tiny balls and stuff. It definitely reminds me of a galaxy, and I think that the theme was matched perfectly. Like it looks so good, especially when I stretch it out and I can see like all the different add-ins and stuff. I've always mentioned that's one of my favorite things to do because I just like really like staring at all the stuff that's in slime. The color shift is gorgeous, and obviously it does inflate, and once it does, it becomes like a muted purple because usually when you inflate color shift slimes, they just kind of lose that color shift for a bit, which is perfectly normal, and I don't really mind it that much. I know a lot of people are like, it loses its beauty and stuff, but I also like to see what kind of color it turns into, and I think that this one's still really pretty. This slime does have some residue to it, and it is slightly tacky, which this is another one that's kind of hard to choose how I want to give it points, because clear slimes are known for leaving residue and stuff, and if you don't want to make a coated clear slime, because that is a different texture, then more than likely it is going to leave some residue on you. So it's like a hard balance of how much residue is too much, and usually I'll take off points when it becomes like a problem where it's like all up in like a lot of parts of my fingers and stuff, and it's just kind of really annoying instead of like a minor inconvenience, if that makes sense. That's usually where I kind of try to draw the line, and this one kind of teeters on that. Like I said, and I've said many times, it is normal and it does happen. It's slime, it's not going to be perfect and things like that. Basically what I'm trying to do when I give a point system is tell you guys which ones are like really absolutely perfect and have like no flaws to them, and which ones have like small little minute details or whatever, because I try to be as specific as possible, because what I'm doing with these reviews is hopefully helping you guys decide what you want, and it's an important decision because it is your money. Anyways, I'm going to give this one 4.8 out of 5 pajamas. And the last slime for this review is Seafoam. It is an icy and phloem slime hybrid that is scented salty sea air, and it comes with a seashell charm and phemos. This slime smells very soapy, but it's like a good soapy, like not like an overpowering, like, oh, this is too strong type of soapy, but like a really pleasant type of soapy, kind of like bathroom soap or whatever, but like a bit more maybe perfumey than that. The best way I could probably describe it besides that is maybe it smells like a Bath and Body Works scent, but I couldn't tell you what kind. Maybe they have one that's scented like that or something. I don't know, but it smells good. Mixing the two textures together was fun, and I love the colors like together. I think the green and white looks really good together, and I feel like I don't have a lot of slimes that are like these colors and stuff, or like specifically green and white. I don't know, but I think that they look good. This is actually one of my favorite textures to squish. I'm like a big slime squisher. Like I like just like squeezing it between my fingers and like letting the slime run through them and stuff like that. I don't know if that's weird, but I find it really satisfying, and this is one of my favorite textures to do that with, because you can feel like the phloem balls moving around as you do it, and it just kind of feels cool. It's so hard to describe. Maybe it's like a sensory thing for me, but like I just really like the feeling. I would say this is on the wet side of an icy slime, so it does have some sizzles to it, which I actually prefer like slightly wet ices over dry ones, because I do like the sizzles and I think they're really satisfying. Also, if there isn't like a ton of like wetness to it, it doesn't really bother me. This also has minimal residue, which again is another thing that's super impressive, especially with icy slimes. I feel like they leave probably the most residue because of all the instant snow and stuff. And so since this one doesn't leave very much, I am very impressed with that. The only thing that I can touch on now is that it does have some occasional bead fallout. It doesn't happen very often, but enough to where you can definitely tell that it's happening, I guess. And you can see it as I'm playing with the slime. Some of the beads are like coming on to the outside of the slime, and you can kind of tell that they're like, I don't know how to describe it, maybe like almost in danger of falling out. Which it is pretty hard to have like things in icy slimes because they don't hold them in very well. So it's almost like you can kind of expect it, but at the same time it's like a ratio thing, and sometimes even a bead thing. I remember like a few years ago I did create an icy phloem texture for my shop, and I remember that I had to mess with the ratio of the beads to the icy base so much because I didn't want any fallout. I eventually got it, and it was probably less beads than I wanted in it, but sometimes you have to work with the slime instead of just kind of picking that you want it to work. I don't know. So I'm going to give this one a 4.9 out of 5 pajamas. And with that, that is the end of this review, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you made it this far, comment down below your favorite 2 slime textures that you like to put together, like an icy phloem, because that's probably my favorite. But with that, I am signing off, and I will see you guys in the next one.